So let's get into the video. We're already in the video. Why do people say let's get into the video? We're already in the video. Okay. Hello and welcome to another video on my channel. My name is Busi and this is a space where I talk all things life abroad as a South African living in Canada, as well as self-care. On today's video, I am talking about 5 things that you should know before you move to Canada. And it is a part 2, so I have shared other 5 things that you should know before moving to Canada on this video. And I'm just adding on to that just to give you a bit more things that you need to consider, a bit more things that you need to plan for, things that can make your life so much easier when you get here and you have to make decisions that you actually have to already be planning for before you move to Canada. If you are somebody who likes getting braids or their hair in cornrows, I would suggest you stick around. I was pretty shocked when I found out the costs of doing braids in Canada. Any video that you've seen me on having faux locks, that's something I did myself, whether it's the black color or this gray color. I did it myself during this quarantining period. I figured that I actually can put my own faux locks on with the help of my husband, and I showed that process on this video. But let me just rewind a little bit and start on the first thing that I wanted to mention on things that you should know before you move to Canada. Number 1 is car insurance. Car insurance in Canada is so expensive. Car insurance is so expensive in Canada, and it's one of those things that you can't get away from. I know in South Africa, you can have car insurance, and really, if you cancel it, nobody's gonna say, oh, you canceled your car insurance, you should have car insurance. You get stopped by cops, like they don't really care about car insurance. But here you have to have proof of your car insurance with you in the car every single time that you're driving, or else you can get fined. So you have to have car insurance by law. And one of the things that we found out after we bought one of our cars was that you will pay more on car insurance on a sedan versus an SUV. So you will pay more on a sedan versus a SUV, and it really makes sense when you get to drive both cars, especially in winter. Sedans generally will have a slightly higher risk of just skidding on the road if it's very icy, just based on the weight of the car. It's usually smaller cars that are going to be sedans, and your SUVs will be much bigger and they have a better grip on the road. So you pay more car insurance on a sedan. So the actual car might be a car that maybe you're not paying as much as you would. It just depends what car you're buying, right? But you will pay more if you are driving a sedan versus an SUV, and it's all from a safety factor, safety and probability of you being in an accident if it's snowing, for example, and the road conditions are very slippery. So from a car insurance perspective, as well as safety, really, there's a lot of things that you should consider, but car insurance is expensive, and the kind of car that you're getting can really play a very huge factor on how much insurance you end up getting. And just as an interesting little thing, with the car that I shared, we bought and then we sold and got another one that's an SUV. The SUV, it's bigger than the sedan, like it's more expensive than the sedan, but we're paying so much less. Like our insurance went down when we changed cars to the sedan, to the SUV, than what it was when we were driving a sedan. Number 2 is winter tires versus all 4 seasons tires. Now, if you're from a country like South Africa, where I was born and grew up, we just have what here is known as the all 4 seasons tires. You don't get to winter and you're like, oh, we need to change and put winter tires on. So it's just not a thing. But when we got here, we figured out that there is such a thing as winter tires, and they are generally tires that help you get a better grip on the road when it is snowing and it's those types of conditions. That's not to say you can't be driving using the other types of wheels, because they are called 4-season tires and they are good for all 4 seasons. It's just specifically the winter tires are tires that are designed for the winter, and they're just better on the road for you if it is winter and it's snowing, and the road conditions, the way that the road conditions look here. Unlike South Africa, where you can just drive with the same tires all through the seasons and there isn't any other type of tire that exists. Winter tires exist, and driving with winter tires during the winter time, that can help lower your car insurance. So the first point that I spoke about, and it can offer you better safety on the road when you're driving. So that's something that you should look into, do your research on, and then decide, am I gonna just stick with all 4 seasons tires throughout the year when I buy a car, or am I gonna buy 2 sets and have my winter tires and change those over when it's winter time? Number 3, I've already touched on a bit when I was talking about car insurance, but really it's such a big one for me. It was such a big one that I think you really should consider and think about really well when you're buying a car, is that sedan versus an SUV experience. So sedans versus SUV, and this is from driving a sedan during the winter when it was snowing. I've driven the sedan when there was a snowstorm. I felt like I was gonna die that day. I was so scared. That's how scared I was driving in the snowstorm. I was so scared, and the car that I was driving was not offering me any peace of mind. And it was like not even possible to say, I don't know, like, can we just park and not go anywhere? Because we knew there was a storm coming that evening, but we were supposed to already be at home when it started, and it just hit when we were on the road. And that was one of the things where I was like, okay, this car definitely has to go. This car has to go. So really, if you're moving to Canada, I really want you to consider properly before you buy a car if a sedan makes sense for you and the type of driving that you're going to be doing and when you're going to need to drive. If you can have a second car, then maybe having a sedan is not such a bad thing. And you know that when it's really heavily snowing outside, it's not generally a car that you will use. So from a safety perspective, like, it's a very big one that I wanted to highlight on its own, just so you can maybe see how important this one thing is from the experience that we've had. And if I look at the roads, especially around the cold times when it's snowing, you are going to see more SUVs on the road than you do sedans. Yes, there are people who will still be driving the sedans, but you're definitely going to see more SUVs, more trucks, like more bigger cars on the road, because they just handle that type of weather much better than the smaller sedan type of cars. Number 4 is for the parents, or if you are looking to have kids once you've moved to Canada. One of the things that you should know about the schooling system is that you might have to pay for before and after school care. If you have to go to work and you need to drop your kids off before school starts, you will have to pay for before school care and most likely after school care, so you can get your kids a bit later from school. Now, the one big thing that I've noticed with schools here is the start time is so much later than we're used to in South Africa. So the first school that my oldest went to, start time was after 9. I can't remember the exact time, but now they're in a different school, still same area more or less, and the start time is 9:25. So before school care will accept kids from 7 a.m. in the morning, and then they take care of them right up until they have to be going to school, and it will generally be in the school. It's a service that will be offered in the school that you are going to be taking your child to. Now, I know back in South Africa, when my oldest was in grade R, the school was open from 7 already. If I remember correctly, I think the earliest you could drop your child off was 7 a.m. and you didn't have to pay anything extra. There was no extra fee for before, like dropping them off before school. But the after school, yes, there was after school care that we had to pay for. And I think the big difference is the fact that if you're dropping your kids off at 7, school is already starting at 8. So it's not like here where you'd be dropping your kid off at 7, but they have to wait over 2 hours before they can actually start school, you know? So that's the biggest difference. So the before school care, I'd say, works pretty similar. and they all differ, I think, with the different schools and the different programs that you can get your child into in terms of when the last or latest pickup for your child can be. And some people really can just find somebody that they can get to fetch their child, and that's the person that they pay to take care of their child until they are coming back. But we just have been using the before and after school care facilities and services that are offered by a separate body that will have a space in the school to be able to facilitate this program and take kids in and help parents out. So those are costs and things that you would have to consider if you do have kids who are very young and wouldn't be able to maybe walk to school by themselves when it's school time and they get there when the bell is just about to ring, but they need somebody to be taking care of them before school actually starts. I will add links to programs that do exist for before and after school care in the description, so you can check that out and see what the programs look like, and you can see the costs that can be associated with it. And that is something that can help you from a budgetary perspective to know that, okay, I will need X amount in general, because the prices do change every single year. Just as a round figure, I need to make sure that I'll be able to pay for XYZ for my kids when it comes to the schooling side. Because the school itself, yes, you don't have to pay for school if the child is going to the public schooling system, but you will have to pay for before and after school care if they have to use those facilities or services. And then, number five, braiding your hair is so costly. It's so expensive, and I say it's expensive. I know expensive is a relative word to use, because what's expensive to one person is not necessarily expensive to the next, but I'm saying it is expensive when I am comparing it to South Africa. And I know it's not the best of comparisons to make, because the one tip that I will tell you with anything, whether you're going to do your nails, you're going to get your facial, whatever it is, there's a whole bunch of things. And hair, doing your hair, braiding your hair is one of those things where I will say, leave the conversion at home. When you're about to leave your house to go do your hair, leave converting anything at home, because you will end up never braiding your hair if you're going to try and convert everything and make it make sense in the perspective of the country that you're coming from. So for me as a South African, it's just crazy how much braiding hair costs. And as an example, this is exhibit A, and on this hairstyle I did half cornrows at the front and then I had braids at the back. So they did braids, individual single braids at the back, and the cost, you bring your own hair. That's another one thing that I'm gonna add. You have to bring your own hair, and they charge you for putting the thing, installing the extensions on your head. So doing the cornrows and putting the braids at the back, this was 250 Canadian dollars. It cost 250 Canadian dollars. You heard that correctly. 250 Canadian dollars to braid your hair, like half cornrow, half braids at the back. Yeah. Leave the conversion at home. Don't convert anything, or else you might end up just never braiding your hair. Exhibit number 2 is when I had these braids. Now these are small braids and they were super long. They were like bum length. And the cost of getting these braids done, you bring your own hair again. So the extensions that they're going to use, you have to buy that wherever you're buying them. They also sell extensions at the place that I was doing my hair. They do sell extensions, so you can buy them there or you can come with your own. But the price that you pay them does not include the cost of the hair extensions. And this cost $400. It was 400 Canadian dollars. Anytime I think of the time where I'm just like, I got braids for over 4,000 rands. Over 4,000 South African rands, like almost 5,000, like braids. Phew, guys, yeah. So if you are looking to move to Canada and you are somebody that wants to do braids, that does braids when it is the winter time as a protective hairstyle, because you definitely will need a protective hairstyle, that is what you can expect from a braiding perspective, the costs that you can expect from a braiding perspective. I don't know how much they charge for taking the braids off, because I've always done that myself with the help of my husband. And with the quarantining season, not season, but the period of quarantine that we've been in, and the lockdowns and the closures of a lot of places, I figured out how to do my own faux locks, and I shared that process in this video, as I have mentioned. And I did these myself with the help of my husband as well. So because places are closed, I can at least still have faux locks, because it's really, really cold. And in cold weather, if your hair is not in a protective hairstyle, it's gonna suffer. Your hair is really gonna suffer. So the next best thing when it comes to protective hairstyles is probably wigs. Like, you can come with your wigs, you can buy your new wigs. Like, that's the other protective hairstyle that I think makes the most sense. And I honestly started wearing wigs at a certain point because it just made more sense to put wigs over my actual hair to protect it from the elements, because it was getting dry. It was just not doing very great with the cold weather, and braids just don't make sense. There's no way I'm spending that much money in short intervals, because if I'm doing cornrows, you can't keep those like super long. Unlike braids, you can't wash your hair if they have cornrows on there. It's just not gonna look right. So that is what to expect from a hair braiding perspective. I was shocked. I think it would have made the world of difference if I maybe first got a shock when I was still in South Africa, and I got to process it just a little bit to say, okay, I'm not ready, but I'm ready. I'm gonna braid my hair at some point, and this is how much I'll have to spend on it. So don't forget to leave the conversions at home, because if you start converting anything, it's just not gonna work out for you that well. You'll just have heart palpitations over so many things. So those are the things that I wanted to share with you about moving to Canada. So before you move to Canada, plan for these things, consider these things, do more research on these things, and decide what is going to be the best way for you to move forward, what is going to make the most sense for you to move forward. Let me know in the comment section if there's anything that you found on this video that you thought, ooh, I had never thought of that. Or if there's anything else that you are wondering that is very important to you that you would like to know, drop that in the comment section. And if it's something I can speak to, I'll definitely consider making a video on it. I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you on the next video.
Thank you for watching.
Beg. You gonna be call. I'm working hard.
Okay,
my people need to hear from me. Like, I have things I need to share that my people need to hear. So I'm working. That's why I'm not answering. Yo, this batch recording business, like batch recording is such work. I'm so tired. My video. I have 5. I think this is my 3rd one, and I think I'm done. Like, I talk too much. Like, my videos are so long.
5.
Yeah, umntwana. Phela mina, you know me and talking, I'm just like 1 2 1 2. You know, I'm like done 1 2 1 2. But yeah, I can talk. There's one that was like over 30 minutes, and I know for fact I'm not uploading a video that's 30 minutes long. So it's gonna, a lot of stuff are probably gonna get like cut on it. Hopefully, like angazi nami ngifisa ukwazi yazi angazi nami. What do you mean ngikhuluma ngedwa? Ngikhuluma nabantu baku YouTube. How they might not be here, but ngikhuluma nabo like